Hey y'all, Maria Com again. Take 3. Just in case you're wondering how many times I have tried recording something. Take 3. I do kind of have a plan for today, so we'll see how ranty it gets, because I have tried a couple times and it's gotten kind of ranty. And I don't want to rant, unless people would be interested in that, but I don't think they are. I don't think I'm very good at it. I think I just tend to repeat myself a lot. So, I am gonna try and do this a little bit differently than the last time I tried to record it. And say that I very much dislike the American idea of individualism. Like, the idea that what is best for the individual is what is best. I think that since we live in a society, ooh, meme, woohoo, it's such a fun meme, yay. Since we do live in a society and we have to live around each other, and realistically, no one is doing everything by themselves. I mean, if you live anywhere on a road that gets maintained by your city or your town or your county or whatever, then guess what? You are benefiting from the rest of society. If you live anywhere that has a public school, even if you don't have kids, you are benefiting as a community from that public education. And you are supporting that public education with your taxes, and that's great, and I think everyone should be doing that and not have a problem with it, because an educated society is a good society. It's better than an uneducated one. I mean, that's how we ended up where we are now with the crappy administration we have right now, because of lack of education. But yeah, like, if you're living somewhere where someone picks up your garbage on a weekly basis, you are benefiting from the rest of society. And if you're living anywhere around other people, you are impacted by society and you impact society. If people around you are sick, you have a chance of getting sick if it's something contagious. If there are things in your environment created by society that can get people sick, then you're being affected by that. And I think people should want to, like, create the best situation for everyone instead of focusing on just what's good for them. I don't understand the mindset of, oh, someone else is benefiting from something and I don't like that. Like, I don't understand people who have that mindset. Someone else is getting something good, and that means I am not. And that means I am suffering. Except you're probably not suffering. You're probably doing just fine. Someone else having something good happen for them doesn't mean you are automatically worse off. Like, that's a weird mindset. Take it from someone who rarely has anything good happen to them. I mean, that sounds very depressing and very, like, negative, but it's kind of true. Like, I don't have a lot of positive things that happen in my life. I don't get promotions. I don't, like, randomly stumble upon $100 bills. I don't run into cool people who help me network. I don't, none of that stuff ever happens to me. And I'm not complaining, and I'm not saying, oh, woe is me, my life sucks. What I am saying is, when those things happen to people I know, or happen to people I don't know who, like, are talking about it, oh, hey, this thing happened and it really helped me out, woohoo. Like, I don't automatically think, oh, you suck, you're taking good things away from me. Because that's not true. If someone in my life has something good happen to them, that doesn't mean my life automatically gets worse. I mean, case in point, I applied for my boss's job when it was open, and shocker, I didn't get that job, because my boss got that job. But that doesn't mean I dislike my boss and think my boss is hurting me because she got that job and I didn't. That would be a ridiculous way to go about life. But that is what, like, American individualism does. It makes people dislike when good things happen to other people, especially if those other people are different from them. And that is just a mindset I don't understand. Because good things happening to other people, realistically, like, helps us all out. If something good, like, other people benefiting from something doesn't mean I am automatically getting hurt. Oh my, I just don't understand that mindset. Other people getting something that I am helping to support doesn't mean I am being hurt by it. And the reason that this has kind of been on my mind is because I really try not to talk about this stuff at work because it's stupid and bad and you shouldn't do it and you'll get into arguments, and arguments with coworkers are not a good idea because you have to work with them and you have to keep working with them even if you have an argument. So, you know. But yeah, I try not to talk about this kind of stuff at work, and I don't even remember how it came up. But I got on the topic of student loan debt with someone, and, you know, they're older than me, probably, I'm gonna say, be generous and say probably Gen X, and I am a millennial, so, you know, a few years difference there. I mean, there's even a difference between those generations, though, because college was cheaper when Gen X went to college. Interest rates were lower when Gen X went to college, etc., etc. And, you know, making those arguments didn't seem to make a difference to her. I don't want to say I was advocating for, like, blanket forgiveness of all student loan debt, because I understand that that's probably never going to happen. So advocating for it is kind of pointless. But it would be really nice if it would happen. But I do think there should be some kind of forgiveness for the... I don't know. It's hard to explain without sounding like I'm just complaining about my situation, but it's not just about me. I would like other people to get forgiveness too. Like, and there were people who did. There were some people who did get My sister got forgiveness under the Biden administration. Because she had like a lower amount left to pay off or something. She didn't have as much student loan debt as me. I went to school longer. I also went to a private school for a couple of years. So I have more student loan debt. Yeah, that's true. And I also had private loans for a while, and those I paid off. So, yeah, it's just a thing. There are all kinds of things with my student loan situation that are weird and complicated, and I don't know where any of it stands at this point because the current administration is just screwing everything up. So there's that. But anyway, like, I didn't even think about the fact that some people got some forgiveness under the Biden administration, and that would have been something to bring up with this person that I was having this argument with. But anyway, her argument was, and her argument boiled down to this and just kept coming back to this constantly. Anyone who has student loan debt signed the loan. They took the loan out, and they agreed to it. And therefore, they should have to pay it back no matter what. Okay. I mean, I also didn't think to bring up all of the ways the government doesn't pay back its loans, and the government ignores shit, and especially the current administration just says, who cares? I didn't think to bring up all, like, the argument of PPP loans and how a lot of businesses, especially businesses owned by certain people, but we'll ignore that, didn't have to pay those loans back. And those were loans that the government paid for, that taxpayers paid for. So, you know, I didn't think to bring up any of those things, and that's my own fault for not thinking about it, but I mostly brought up the arguments of School was a lot cheaper way back when. For example, when she went to school. Interest rates were a lot lower when she went to school. And yeah. I didn't even think to bring up the fact that cost of living was lower then. It didn't cost as much to pay for necessities back then. And so even though people were making less, the percentage of their money that was going towards necessities was lower back then than it is for people now. There we go. But yeah, so those were the kinds of things I brought up were costs of school, interest rates, and then also the fact that, guess what? Expecting an 18-year-old to understand what they are doing, to totally understand the ramifications of signing a loan document, and totally understand that this is something that you're going to be paying back for the rest of your life, and it's going to become impossible to pay back because of the interest rates unless you manage to make a ridiculous amount of money. 18-year-olds don't get that, or at least didn't when I was starting college. I generally understood the concept, but I did not understand how much the interest was gonna affect it, because when I was starting college, I think interest rates were 6 point something %. I don't know what they're at now. I assume it's the same or higher. For federal student loans. And that's it doesn't sound like a lot. But it is a heck of a lot when you're talking about tens of thousands of dollars. So yeah, 18-year-olds don't understand that. 18-year-olds don't have fully formed brains yet. Your brain doesn't stop growing and becoming an adult brain until you're 25. So pretending that, oh, well, you were 18 and you signed this, so that means you just stick with it no matter what forever, is ridiculous. And that was her only argument, was that, anyone who took out a student loan signed it, and they have to stick to it, regardless of the fact that she has no problem with public student loan forgiveness. I mean, that is still forgiveness, and you're still not paying back your loan. But yeah. She also has no problem with people who are in the armed forces or enter the armed forces getting their loans forgiven or getting their school paid for. She has no problem with that, even though that's not an option for everyone. Because, just as an example, I considered it when I was that age, but I had pre-existing conditions and the armed forces would not take me. Wouldn't even let me get past talking to a recruiter. Nope. Sorry, you have that, you can't join. Sorry. So, that's not an option for everyone. Even people who are willing. So, it's frustrating, and public service is not an option for everyone, either. So it's a little frustrating to me that she's well, those are fine. But blanket student loan forgiveness, no. And I came back to the argument that having people go to college and get educated makes for a better society. An educated populace makes for a better society. We can advance more things and know more about our situations and all of that if we have educated people. And so really it is overall good for society if we let people get educated and have it not be a burden on them for the rest of their lives. The vast majority of people who go to college are saddled with student loan debt for a long time. And I don't know how good that is for society. I feel like that is actually a detriment to society. There are plenty of places, lots of European nations, lots of Scandinavian nations, where college is free. If you go to college, like, in the country, it's free. And as this person would have said, well, it's not actually free, someone's paying for it. Yeah, my taxes would be paying for it. And you know what? I would be fine with that. Like, I don't I don't understand this whole thing about, well, you have to suffer for it or else it's not worth it, seems to be the idea. And I'm just like, no. Here's the thing, like, with what is going on right now with the Department of Education and student loan repayment options, federal student loan repayment options, it's going to get to a point where no one can afford it anyway, unless they are in a super high paying job. Like, I will probably not be able to afford it once my forbearance ends. And I, unfortunately, have had, even if I would make payments right now, which doesn't matter because they are not required, and the way this forbearance works, it is a forced forbearance that the government put on my student loan because it is part of the SAVE plan, which is being attacked in court or whatever. If Even if I make payments, it doesn't count towards public student loan forgiveness because that is how the forbearance works. And that was fine until this administration started saying we're going to start charging interest again. Because now you're just fucking everyone who's on this forbearance. They want people to get off of this plan because they're scared. And yeah, I'm scared, but I also know I can't afford payments on any other plan. So what do you want me to do? I've just had too many, like, unexpected, expensive things happen this year that I can't afford it. I would love to be able to afford it. I would love to make payments. I cannot afford it right now. And all of the prices of everything increasing, from groceries to electricity to all of my utilities, like, I just can't afford it. And it's not for lack of trying to get a better job. I have 2 degrees and it's weighing me down at this point. Because I am overqualified for a lot of things, but I am also underqualified for all of the things that my degrees pertain to. It is stupid and it sucks, and it is a situation where I don't have a lot of options. And I can't just, like, I don't know. And I know there are a lot of people in the same situation. And all I can think is, man, imagine if a huge chunk of our society who is in this sort of situation suddenly wasn't in this kind of situation anymore. If there was that much debt which, again, a lot of the student loan debt is not really, like, the principal that people took out. It's the exorbitant interest that is being charged. And the exorbitant interest that has accrued. Like, let's just take that away, if nothing else. Let's forgive all of the accrued interest. And put everything at 0% interest. If the whole argument is people should pay back what they borrowed, interest should not factor into it at all. Because interest is profit. Interest is profiting off of people not having the money for something. And the government should not be profiting off of people going to school. Because that profit is not going towards more school. That's what it should be going to if it's going to exist. all of that profit should stay in the Department of Education. We all know that's not what's happening. So, yeah. Anyway, it's turned into a rant again, but I'm just gonna leave it because it's clearly important to me, or I wouldn't have ranted about it for this long. So I think I will never understand the people who, maybe it's because I'm not a business-minded person. I can't imagine saying, yeah, I'm gonna lend you this money because you can't afford to do this thing that will make your life better. I'm gonna lend you this money and charge you an exorbitant interest rate so that you can never ever finish paying me back. I can't imagine that. I can't imagine thinking that that's okay. I can't imagine thinking that that is how our society should work. I can't imagine thinking that saddling people with few options with that kind of debt for the rest of their lives is an acceptable way for things to work. I can't imagine that. I can't imagine fighting tooth and nail to not let those people get some kind of relief. I just can't imagine that. I can't imagine thinking that people getting debt forgiven is bad because they took out that debt. Like, it's just frustrating to me. And I don't understand the mindset because it seems like such a mean-spirited mindset. I'm sure she doesn't think it is, and I'm sure other people who have that mindset don't think that they're being assholes. But in my opinion, if that is what you believe, you're kind of an asshole. Because you know what? Rich people and business people, I'm gonna say like high-end business people, take out debt all the time that they find ways around paying back. And we call them smart. Like, come on. That's uncool. The minute we talk about giving struggling people help, then it's wrong. Then it's terrible. Then they're not gonna learn. Like, I just wish people understood how messed up that mentality is. And how messed up the entire idea of American individualism is, because no one can get through life without other people. Believe me, I have tried. I haven't tried hard. I haven't, become a total hermit and gone out to live in the woods on my own or anything, but that's because it's not practical, and I am aware that it's not practical. As unfortunate as it is, if you want to live, you kind of need other people. So I don't understand wanting other people to suffer because that's what they chose. I did not choose that when I took out student loans. I chose I want to go to school and this is how I do it. Because I couldn't have afforded it any other way. So, yeah. Anyway, that was long and ranty, and I am gonna regret that when I have to edit this, so. Yeah, anyway, this has been my Ria Com ranting about student loan debt and how annoying it is that people seem to think it's okay for everyone to have it. And how much American individualism sucks. Call me a horrible, terrible lefty, I guess, but I don't know. I don't understand those mindsets. I want people to succeed. I want, society at large to succeed. And it's looking more and more like it ain't gonna. So, that sucks. But anyway, I'm gonna cut it off there because this is way too damn long. And, yeah. This has been my Ria Com. I will try and chat at you again soon. Alright, bye.